Great rising, everybody. It is July 10th, 2026. It is a Friday. Ooh, yeah. The weekend, baby. The weekend, my brothers and sisters. It is here. So what are you planning on doing for this weekend? Think about it. Okay, now that you got it, let me give you something to go with it. Let me give you a beautiful, 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 beautiful piece. Now, I'm doing a series from now up until maybe my birthday in September. So I know when you usually come to my blog, you can read or listen or read and listen. But I've decided to do a only audio series for the next 30 plus days. Why? Because I want you all to sit back and listen to my work. I know you can read it. Yeah, I appreciate it. But I want you all to sit back and listen. I want you to listen to like it's a piece of music in your ear, like it's a piece of music touching your soul. So we're going to do the only audio series for a little bit. Not for a while, but just for a little bit, okay? We're going to try something different for everybody. So here we go. So I have a piece called Spiritual Meniscus. And you might be wondering, Khatib Shunar, how in the hell did you come up with something called Spiritual Meniscus? Okay, so let me give you a little taste of what was in my mind. So I was talking to a friend of mine. I always talk about him, Bible College with Joe Jelly in Philly, and he had a knee surgery. And one day I was sitting down thinking about the knee and how does it work, and it dawned on me, wow, the knee has a barrier or a protection that keeps one part of the bone from grinding against another part of the bone. And this piece of material I'm talking about is called the meniscus. And for all us old people out there, we know what a meniscus is. Our knees pop and they hurt. You're getting that age. Guess who you are? You have gray hairs just like me. I know you do. You don't have to dye it to hide it, baby. Gray is beautiful, and you know it is. Anyway, so I decided to write a piece about spiritual meniscus. That's something that we all overlook. And so I'm going to give you a little something different to listen to on this Friday, and I hope it'll last you until Monday. So check this piece out. Share it with your friends, your family, and your loved ones. Hey, post it on your social media. You got my permission. Okay, so remember, we're in the only audio series for a while. Just trying something different. See what is going. And I hope you all enjoy it. Well, before I go, I'm going to ask you all to please make a contribution to the blog to keep this thing rolling. Rolling. I try to have a nice blog for everybody to feed off of, but hey, I gotta pay the bills too, and I'm asking you all to help me keep this thing rolling so we can spread the message across the universe. And before I go, I want you all to let something go this week. Let something go. A habit, a situation, a circumstance. Just let something go. Let it go. And I know it's easier said than done. And I had to personally let something go myself. And, you know, it was an opportunity for me to probably come up on the situation. But in the long run, I said, you know what? I believe my blessings, and I believe what the Creator has for me in the future is better than the opportunity than the individual can give me now. Okay, and it might sound crazy to many people, like, man, you got an opportunity for this or that, but it's presented to you, and you say, nah. Hey, every time somebody offers you something, it's always not a good thing, even though it sounds good. It could be a job, it could be a relationship, or whatever. Like, sometimes you gotta think about it. You gotta ask yourself, is the now better than the future? Is the now better than what I know the Creator can give me or what He has given me? And so that's a choice that we all have to make. And I know this has nothing to do with spiritual meniscus, but I believe I had to say that. You know, and I want to say one more thing to all of you before I play the reflection. I want all of you to do friend checking this month. I want you to check your friendships. Yes, your bonds, your circles. See if it's healthy for you. You know what I'm saying? See if your friends really are growth for you. Like, check your relationships. All of them. Yes. So we want to check our friendships. Okay, if you're going to do that, that's your homework. So let's get with this blog for today. Is pretty lengthy, and I hope you all enjoy. Love all of you. Peace and blessings. Khatib.
The Spiritual Meniscus. Author's opening note. Before y'all settle in, let me ask you something. Have you ever been so tired that sleep couldn't fix it? I'm not talking about the kind of tired that comes from cutting grass in this New Orleans heat. Lord, this humidity will make a grown man question every decision that brought him outside before breakfast. You walk to the mailbox looking respectable, and by the time you make it back home, your shirt done filed for a divorce from your back. No, I'm talking about another kind of tired. The kind that doesn't show up under your eyes. It settles somewhere deeper. It hides behind your smile. It rides with you to work, sits beside you in church, follows you through rouses while you're trying to decide whether you really need another loaf of bread, then climbs back in the car with you like it helped pay the note. I've known that kind of tired. Truth be told, I don't think I'm alone. Most folks have met it. We just introduce it by different names. Stress, burnout, grief, disappointment, responsibility. Some blame the bills, some blame the job, some blame family, and then there's that one cousin who always says, I just need a little help, but somehow develops selective amnesia when it's time to pay you back. They'll remember every score from the Saints' glory days, but forget that $40 they borrowed 6 months ago. People are funny. Life is even funnier. It has a strange habit of teaching lessons without asking permission. Sometimes those lessons arrive dressed up in Sunday clothes. Other times they pull up looking like they lost a fight with one of them potholes around Calhoun and North Roman. Around here, the streets don't always ease you into reality. They introduce themselves with authority. For years, I honestly believed the reason I hurt so deeply was because life had simply become heavier. I figured everybody else must have been built stronger than me. Then one afternoon, I found myself reading about something tucked away inside the human knee, the meniscus. Funny how life works. You can spend decades walking around with something protecting you every single day and never stop to appreciate it until it's damaged. That little piece of cartilage doesn't ask for applause. It quietly spreads pressure, softens impact, and keeps bone from grinding against bone. Every step you take depends on it, yet most of us never think about it. That stayed with me. Not because I was fascinated by anatomy, but because I started wondering if the Creator had hidden another lesson inside the human body. What if our spirit has a meniscus too? What if there is an unseen lining between our heart and the weight of this world? What if the reason some of us feel exhausted isn't because we've been carrying more than everybody else, but because something inside us has become worn thin? I couldn't shake that thought. It followed me through quiet mornings on the porch, conversations with neighbors, grocery store aisles, and evenings sitting near the Mississippi, watching the river move with a patience this world forgot. Little by little, I realized this reflection isn't really about knees. It's about the quiet places inside us that keep us from living bone on bone. The spiritual meniscus, the sacred lining between the soul and the weight of the world. Written by Khatib Shuna, I have come to believe every human being is born with an invisible lining around the heart, the mind, the emotions, and the spirit. You won't find it on an x-ray. A surgeon can't point to it. No pharmacy stocks it on aisle 7. Yet I believe it's every bit as real as the breath we just took. The body has a meniscus. The soul has one too. Once that thought settled in, I couldn't look at people the same way anymore. Standing in line one day, I watched a cashier smile through what looked like pure exhaustion. A man fussed because she scanned his groceries too slowly. Folks rolled their eyes at him. I almost did too. Then another thought crossed my mind. Maybe I wasn't looking at an angry man. Maybe I was looking at somebody whose spiritual meniscus had been torn for years. Maybe every unpaid bill, every sleepless night, every disappointment, every broken promise, every funeral, every silent prayer had finally reached his soul without anything left to soften the impact. Lord, life can hit hard. Sometimes it throws a punch you never see coming. Other times it doesn't swing at all. It just leans over and whispers, "Let's see how much more you can carry." I've heard that whisper. Maybe you have too. Mine didn't show up all at once. It arrived the way water finds a crack in the sidewalk. Quiet, patient, almost polite. One disappointment here, one unanswered prayer there. A phone call that changed everything. A goodbye I wasn't ready for. Responsibilities piling up so gradually I didn't notice they were becoming heavier than the man carrying them. That's the tricky part about wear and tear. Most of us would notice if a wall in our house cracked overnight. But if that same crack grows a little every month, we walk past it so often that it starts looking normal. The soul works the same way. We get accustomed to surviving. Matter of fact, we get so good at surviving that folks start complimenting us for it. "Man, you're so strong. You always got a smile. I don't know how you do it." If they only knew. Some of us smile because we don't have enough energy left to explain what hurts. Some of us laugh because crying in public seems too expensive. Some of us keep saying, we're blessed because we honestly are. But if we're being truthful, there are days when being blessed and being tired sit in the same chair. I've lived those days. There were mornings when I woke up already exhausted. Nothing terrible had happened overnight. No bad news. No emergency. My spirit was simply carrying yesterday into today because I never gave it permission to put the weight down. That's when I began asking myself questions I'd avoided for years. Was life really getting heavier? Or had something inside me become thinner? There's a difference. See, we spend most of our lives protecting things we can replace. We buy phone cases before we even activate the phone. We insure our cars. We install cameras around our homes. Some folks got enough security lights in the yard to make a mosquito feel like it being interrogated. Yet we'll hand our peace over to anybody carrying a bad attitude. We'll let one rude comment ruin an entire afternoon. We'll replay somebody's criticism 100 times, but barely remember the compliment somebody else gave us that same day. It's strange when you think about it. We guard our wallets better than we guard our hearts. Maybe that's why Scripture keeps reminding us to watch over the heart. Everything else flows from there. Not your checking account, not your reputation, not your social media page. The heart. Because once that lining starts wearing away, everything begins rubbing against everything else. The emotional starts grinding against the mental. The mental starts scraping against the spiritual. The spiritual starts affecting the physical. Then one morning, your body starts talking before your mouth ever opens. Your shoulders tighten. Your sleep disappears. Your patience packs its bags. Your joy starts calling in sick. And people ask, what's wrong? Truth is, you don't always know. You just know everything hurts. I remember talking with an older gentleman years ago while sitting outside after a funeral service. He wasn't a preacher. Didn't quote a bunch of scripture either. He just watched people. He told me, son, folks don't usually break where everybody's looking. They break underneath. That sentence followed me home. Think about a bridge. People admire what's above the water. The arches, the lights, the beauty. Engineers spend just as much time worrying about what nobody sees underneath because hidden damage eventually introduces itself. People aren't much different. A polished smile can hide a tired soul. A loud laugh can cover deep loneliness. Busy people aren't always fulfilled people. Sometimes they're just moving fast enough to avoid sitting alone with themselves. That's one reason I appreciate New Orleans. For all our flaws, this city understands something about slowing down. You can learn a whole lot sitting on a porch. An old neighbor walks by. Somebody waves. Somebody asks how your mama doing. Another person starts talking about fishing, then somehow ends up giving advice about marriage without either one of y'all realizing the conversation changed. That's porch wisdom. It never announces itself. It just sneaks up on you. I remember my grandmother could process her broiled blue crabs for its meat without ever looking rushed. I'd be fidgeting, wondering when we were finally going to eat the heaven-sent seafood dressing. She'd smile and say, boy, everything worth having don't arrive fast. Back then, I thought she was talking about supper. Years later, I realized she was talking about people. Healing doesn't respond well to being rushed. Neither does trust. Neither does forgiveness. Neither does wisdom. We live in a microwave generation trying to grow oak trees. It don't work like that. An oak tree ain't in competition with the grass. It grows at the pace it was designed to grow. Maybe our souls are the same way. Maybe we've been frustrated because we've been measuring spiritual growth with worldly clocks. Every scar has its own calendar. Every heart has its own rhythm. Every person heals a little differently. That's where the meniscus kept teaching me. It doesn't stop pressure from existing. It simply teaches the body how to carry it. Now that'll preach all by itself. Faith doesn't erase pressure. It redistributes it. Grace doesn't pretend disappointment never happened. It keeps disappointment from crushing the whole person. Healthy boundaries don't eliminate difficult people. They simply keep difficult people from renting permanent space inside your peace. That realization changed something in me. I stopped asking God to remove every burden. Instead, I began asking Him to strengthen the lining between my soul and the burden. Because the truth is, life isn't going to stop being life. Some mornings the sky will be blue. Other mornings it'll rain so hard you'll swear the clouds got something personal against your neighborhood. That's just life. The question isn't whether storms are coming. The question is whether something inside you can absorb the impact without losing itself. That's what this reflection has really been about all along. Not avoiding pain. learning how not to become pain. Not long after all them thoughts started settling in my spirit, I stumbled across something else that stopped me in my tracks. Every tear in a meniscus don't heal the same. That surprised me. You would have thought a tear was just a tear. Stitch it up, wrap it tight, and keep it moving. That's how most of us was raised anyway. Rub a little dirt on it, walk it off, stop all that crying, you'll be all right. Lord, if only souls heal that easy. Doctors say the outer part of the meniscus has blood flowing through it. They call it the red zone. That's where healing has a fighting chance because life is still circulating through the injury. Then there's the inside, the white zone. Blood barely reaches it. I sat there reading those words, then read them again. Soon as I put my phone down, I wasn't thinking about knees no more. I was thinking about people I've known all my life. Matter of fact, I was thinking about me. See, I think every one of us got a red zone and a white zone living somewhere inside. There are places in us that still know how to receive kindness. Somebody tells us they appreciate us, and we believe them. Somebody wraps us in a hug, and something inside finally exhales. Somebody says, "I'm praying for you," and we can actually feel those words landing somewhere soft. That's the red zone. Life still flowing, hope still circulating. But then there's that white zone. Baby, that's another neighborhood altogether. That's where old disappointments move in, put plastic on the furniture, and refuse to leave. That's where little boys become grown men, still wondering why their daddy never came back. That's where little girls become women, still trying to earn affection they should have received for free. That's where grief sits so long, it learns your daily routine. That's where betrayal unpacks its suitcase and starts acting like it pays the light bill. You ever met somebody who gets mad too fast? Somebody who can't trust nobody? Somebody who always expecting the worst before the conversation even starts? Sometimes folks call that having a nasty attitude. I don't. Sometimes that's just somebody living from the white zone. Down here in New Orleans, we good at covering pain with personality. We'll joke while our heart breaking. We'll dance in a second line carrying sorrow heavier than the brass band. We'll tell somebody, "I'm making groceries," and knowing good and well we counting every dollar before we get to the register. We'll say, "I'm all right, baby." Whole time, we barely holding the pieces together with duct tape, prayer, and grandma's old Bible that's missing half the bookmarks. And that's us. Resilient. But resilience ain't supposed to mean we never stop and heal. I remember one evening sitting on a porch in Gentilly with an old Creole gentleman everybody called Mr. Chavelo. Lord knows if that was the name on his birth certificate. In New Orleans, once the neighborhood rename you, that's between you and the Lord. Mr. Chavelo always had a cup of coffee in one hand and enough wisdom in the other to make you rethink your whole week. He wasn't loud, didn't have to be. Real wisdom rarely raises its voice. That evening he was cleaning shrimp while his granddaughter was inside making potato salad. He looked over at me and asked, "Boy, you know why shrimp got that shell?" I shrugged. "So folks can appreciate what's inside?" He laughed so hard he almost dropped the bowl. "No," he peeled another shrimp. "That shell ain't there to impress nobody. It's there because life rough." Then he tossed the shell into a bucket. "A shrimp without protection don't stay a shrimp for long." I smiled. Thought he was finished. He wasn't. You know what's wrong with people? I waited. We spend all our life trying to look tender instead of learning when to protect what God put in us. Then he pointed toward the kitchen where the gumbo was simmering. "You see that pot?" I nodded. If I take the lid off too early, all the flavor escaped. He looked me square in my eyes. Your spirit like that too. Those words have stayed with me ever since. See, everybody don't deserve unlimited access to what's cooking inside you. Everybody ain't supposed to know every dream, every fear, every prayer, every scar. Some people got curious spirits but not careful hands. They'll handle your heart like somebody borrowing a rake from the shed. Soon as they finish, they leave it laying in the rain and wonder why it's rusted when they bring it back. That's why discernment ain't rude. Discernment is protective. It's part of the spiritual meniscus. It's that quiet voice saying, "Not today." It's wisdom pulling your chair back from tables where peace ain't on the menu. It's recognizing that just because somebody can reach you doesn't mean they should have access to you. For years, I confused being available with being assigned. Lord, I wore myself slap out. Every phone call, every problem, every crisis. I thought I had to fix it. Until one day my own soul started limping. That's when I finally understood something my grandmother used to say while stirring a pot of red beans. Baby, don't let your pot boil dry trying to fill everybody else's bowl. Back then I laughed because I thought she was talking about cooking. Now I know she was talking about living. And maybe, just maybe, that's the lesson we've been missing all along. The Creator never asked us to become everybody's cushion. He simply asked us to take care of the one He lovingly placed around our own heart, so that when somebody genuinely needs compassion, we'll still have enough left to give. It took me a long time to understand that healing ain't always loud. Sometimes we expect healing to arrive like a brass band coming down Claiborne during Mardi Gras, horns blowing, folks dancing, everybody celebrating because something wonderful just happened. Most times, it slips in a whole lot quieter than that. It sounds like finally sleeping through the night after months of staring at the ceiling. It looks like laughing so hard your stomach hurts, then realizing that's the first real laugh you've had in weeks. It feels like sitting on the river, watching barges drift by, not trying to solve your whole life for once, just breathing. That's healing. I used to think the Creator only worked in spectacular moments. Now I notice Him in ordinary ones, in a neighbor who waves before the sun comes up, and in a child chasing bubbles down the sidewalk like tomorrow ain't got no worries, in an old couple walking slow through the French market, still holding hands after all these years. They ain't trying to impress nobody. They just learned somewhere along the way that commitment sometimes walks a little slower, but it walks farther. Life has a funny way of sanding us down. Not all at once, just a little here, a little there. One disappointment, one betrayal, one funeral, one dream that never quite happened, one prayer that seemed to stay suspended somewhere between earth and heaven. You keep telling yourself you're all right because that's what grown folks do. We keep moving, we keep working, we keep smiling. Then one ordinary Tuesday, somebody asks, "How you doing?" And for some reason, your eyes start watering before your mouth can answer. That ain't weakness. That's your spirit admitting it's been carrying weight with no cushion. I've been there. I remember one afternoon pulling my truck over near the river because I couldn't think straight. Nothing dramatic had happened that day. Nobody had fussed with me. No terrible phone call came through. I was just tired, not sleepy, soul tired. The kind of tired where your mind keeps running but your heart done sat down somewhere and refuses to take another step. I turned the truck off, rolled the windows down, listened to the river. After a while, I realized something. The Mississippi never argues with the current. It doesn't panic because the water keeps moving. It simply stays connected to its source. That may have been one of the greatest sermons I never heard preached. Maybe that's what the spiritual meniscus has been trying to teach me all along. Stay connected, not to applause, not to popularity, not to being needed every minute of every day. Stay connected to the source, because circulation matters. Cut off the blood supply to the meniscus and healing becomes difficult. Cut yourself off from peace, rest, honest conversation, forgiveness, and the presence of God. And eventually the soul starts wearing down in much the same way. You won't notice it immediately. Most people don't. You'll simply find yourself irritated by little things that never used to bother you. You'll become impatient with people who don't deserve your impatience. Music won't sound the same. Food won't taste the same. Even the sunrise will seem like it's missing something. Not because the world changed, because your inner lining has grown thin. That's why rest is holy. That's why saying no can become an act of faith. That's why forgiveness isn't always for the other person. Sometimes forgiveness is the medicine that keeps your own heart from locking up. And laughter, Lord, don't ever let anybody convince you laughter ain't spiritual. I've seen front porches in New Orleans where folks had more bills than money, more questions than answers. Yet somebody told one good joke, and for 10 whole minutes everybody forgot what was weighing them down. That's sacred too. Sometimes heaven sounds like a choir. Sometimes it sounds like old friends laughing until somebody almost spills their coffee. Both can heal. As I look back over my own journey, I realized there really were seasons when I was living bone on bone. Every opinion scraped against my confidence. Every disappointment rubbed against old wounds. Every criticism found a place that was already sore. I blamed life. I blamed people. I even blamed myself. Now I know better. Life wasn't always becoming heavier. My spiritual meniscus was asking for attention. It was asking for prayer, for quiet, for healthier boundaries, for deeper trust, for people who watered my spirit instead of constantly borrowing from it. Maybe yours is asking for the same thing. If that's true, don't ignore it. Don't cover it with another busy schedule. Don't bury it beneath another distraction. Sit with it. Pray over it. Talk to somebody you trust. Cry if you need to. Laugh when you can. Rest without apologizing. And remember this. The Creator who designed your body with a meniscus also designed your spirit with the ability to recover. Not overnight. Not without patience, but with time, with grace, with honest surrender. He can restore places you've already given up on. He can bring fresh circulation to parts of your heart you thought had gone cold forever. He can soften what bitterness hardened. He can calm what anxiety scattered. He can strengthen what life has worn thin. So guard that sacred lining. Protect it like you would protect the people you cherish most. Feed it with truth. Surround it with people whose presence feels like fresh air after a summer rain. Walk away from what constantly bruises your spirit. Run toward what nourishes it. Then when life comes carrying another heavy load, and it will, you'll discover something beautiful. The weight may still be there. The road may still be long. The storm may still pass overhead. But your soul will no longer be walking through this world, bone on bone. It will be walking with quiet strength, steady grace, and a sacred cushion that reminds you every single day that you were never created merely to survive. You were created to remain whole, and maybe that's the picture I hope stays with you long after you finish reading these words. Not a knee. Not a medical term, not even the analogy. I hope you remember the feeling that your soul deserves the same kind of care you gladly give everything else. We rotate the tires on our vehicles. We change the oil. We replace worn-out brakes before they fail. We sharpen lawnmower blades. We patch roofs before the rain gets in. Yet we'll ignore our own spirit until it starts limping. Then we wonder why joy feels so far away. I don't think heaven is asking us to become superheroes. I think heaven is asking us to become good stewards. There's a difference. A steward understands that what has been entrusted to them deserves attention. Your heart has been entrusted to you. Your mind has been entrusted to you. Your peace has been entrusted to you. Your compassion has been entrusted to you. That doesn't make you selfish. It makes you responsible. I used to believe that pouring myself into everybody else was the highest form of kindness. Looking back, I can smile at that younger version of me because his heart was in the right place, but his wisdom hadn't caught up yet. I'd empty my own cup, scrape the bottom of it, then stand there wondering why I had nothing left to give. That's like trying to feed the whole neighborhood from a gumbo pot that's already been scraped clean. Baby, all you're serving then is burnt memories stuck to the bottom. My grandmother would have laughed at me. She probably would have stirred whatever was on the stove, looked over her glasses and said, "Boy, common sense ain't common when your heart outrun your head." She had a way of saying things that made you laugh first and think later. I miss that. Truth be told, I think a lot of us miss people who carried that kind of wisdom. Folks who could correct you without embarrassing you. Folks who could look right through your smile and ask, "Now how you really doing?" Folks who understood that sometimes the loudest cry ain't made with tears. Sometimes it's made with silence. Maybe that's why this reflection found me. Not because I was looking for another lesson. I was looking for understanding. The meniscus taught me something medicine already knew. Anything that carries weight must also have something that protects it. The body has that protection. So does the soul. The question is whether we've been taking care of it. Have we been feeding it things that strengthen it? Or have we been wearing it down one unnecessary burden at a time? Those are questions only each of us can answer. Before I leave you, I want to ask one more thing. The next time somebody seems short-tempered, don't be so quick to label them. The next time somebody grows quiet, don't automatically assume they don't care. The next time you see somebody sitting alone on a porch, looking out toward nothing in particular, remember that they may not be doing nothing at all. They may be trying to give their spirit a chance to catch its breath. Offer a little patience, offer a little mercy, offer a listening ear before you offer an opinion. You never know what kind of weight another person has been carrying. And don't forget yourself in the process. Check on your own heart every now and then. Pull your own chair onto the porch. Watch the evening settle over the neighborhood. Listen to the mockingbirds fussing with each other. Smell somebody grilling in the distance. Hear children laughing a few streets over. Let the breeze remind you that not everything in this world is in a hurry. Take a deep breath. Another one. Your soul has been carrying you a long time. Maybe today is a good day to carry it with a little more tenderness. If this reflection has taught me anything, it's this. The strongest people I have ever met were not the ones who never got hurt. They were the ones who refused to let hurt become their identity. They healed. They rested. They forgave. They laughed again. They trusted again. They loved again. Not because life suddenly became easy, because they refused to spend the rest of their days walking bone on bone. I pray that whatever has been rubbing against your spirit finds relief. I pray that whatever has grown thin inside you is strengthened. I pray that whatever has gone without circulation begins receiving fresh life again. And I pray that long after these pages are closed, you will remember to guard that sacred lining between your soul and the weight of the world, because that quiet, unseen place may be the very thing keeping you whole. Author's closing words. If these words found their way into your heart, then they accomplished exactly what I prayed they would do. Thank you for sitting with me for a little while. Around here in New Orleans, we know conversations don't always happen across a conference table. Some of the best ones happen on a porch with a glass of sweet tea, while the evening settles in and nobody is watching the clock. That's how I hope this reflection felt. Less like a lecture and more like two souls sharing a little wisdom before the streetlights come on. If something in these pages reminded you of yourself, your grandmother, your grandfather, a neighbor, a friend, or a season of your own life, would you do me a favor? Please share this reflection by any positive means you can. Send it to someone who may need a little encouragement. Read it with your family. Share it with your church, your book club, your co-workers, or someone who's quietly carrying more than they let on. You never know whose spirit might need these words today. If you believe in my work and would like to help me continue writing reflections that honor our humanity, celebrate our culture, and nourish the heart, mind, and spirit, I humbly ask you to support this blog with a donation of any amount. Your generosity helps me keep writing, keep creating, and keep telling stories that I hope will continue touching lives long after they're read. From the depths of my heart, thank you for believing in independent writers. Thank you for believing that thoughtful words still matter. And thank you for walking beside me on this journey. Until next time, take care of your spirit. Guard your peace. Protect your sacred lining. The world will always have weight, but you do not have to carry it alone. With gratitude, Khatib Shuna.